Jim Kennedy's here with me. Figure we do about a half an hour, 45 minutes talking about tonight's election results. As now everything is pretty much in. Jim, I'm going to say this, and I'm sure the people on the right don't want to hear it. Trump's not on the ballot, but he sure felt like he was kind of on the ballot because the Republicans got kicked in the effing grundle across the country.
Well, yeah, and exactly. And it is always going to be a race with Trump about, as somebody said earlier, I was listening to some of the commentary, was there were the messages that almost every candidate had, regardless if it was left or right, was not what I can do for you. It's like, you can't elect that other person, especially if it's a Republican, because they represent Donald Trump and they will bend the knee, which is the famous phrase. And we've used a lot in California that Gavin Newsom has used. The results aren't in California yet, but the results are kind of in California. There's not going to be much of a surprise come approximately 90 minutes from now. Something like that. I know that that sounds about right. I know that the yes outspent the no campaign on Prop 50 at least 2-1. So yeah, it was a lot of money thrown in. I was guessing 300 million, but it could have gone north of that by the time it's all added up. It was interesting. There's some ads that Tom Steyer was running. I don't know if you saw them. They were the what was it? Get Trump ads. The ones where he had the ones where he has Trump, or he has this image of a guy it's Donald Trump. It's got like a McDonald's hamburger there. And he's watching TV in the dark on election night. Stick it to Trump were the ads. And you see him basically watching the results, and he's throwing food, and he's got kind of a Trump-ish voice, throwing food at the TV set, and like swearing about Democrats and stuff. And an ad that a lot of the Democrats liked in California. Turns out I saw some polling data before he came on that Gavin Newsom had done. That ad pulled the worst of all the ads that were put out on the air for this campaign. Tom Steyer paid about $10 million to produce and put those ads on the air. I mean, he's a billionaire. I'm not feeling that sorry for the guy.
He's going to write it off anyways, and he's buying influence, but it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, but yeah, no, it was interesting. They basically did make it a referendum out here on Trump, and it basically they made it a referendum again in Virginia and in New Jersey. Now the Virginia race is interesting because evidently Sears had crossed Trump previously, and there was no campaigning for Trump. And I don't know if that was Trump's decision or her decision, but there was no.
I don't think that he endorsed her. His endorsement was more like, "Yeah, Spamberger's awful."
Yeah. There was no endorsement. JD Vance wasn't even there, who don't believe had any issues with Sears or vice versa.
No.
And again, you've got to be careful because I'm sure Trump polls poorly in Northern Virginia, but he does probably poll pretty well in Southern Virginia and Western Virginia and in more of the rural areas.
Yeah. Where there's more people.
Yeah, because it is a state he did carry in the presidential election. Yeah. He did win the state.
And you have Youngkin, who was a Republican. But remember, Youngkin was a very odd character in the sense that he kept Trump at an arm's length when everybody else embraced Trump.
Yeah.
He was like, good. I like Trump. Yeah, some of his stuff was good, but he would always change it to, it's about me. It's about this. He moved away from being dependent upon Trump because he thought it would hurt him. I mean, I don't think this was a shock. New Jersey, I think throughout the day, I started to really see the Pauley market move. And I thought, this isn't going to be as close as I think some people think. But the Mandami thing, 2 million people since 1969. I wasn't even born yet, Jim. I mean, I was thought about, but it wasn't born yet.
Well, I have a few years on you, and I had been born, and I was able to watch as a very little child the landing on the moon in July of '69. But yeah, that is pretty remarkable. And the indication I had seen was that the more voters it turned out, was the better the chance that Cuomo had in the race. And it doesn't look like it's panning out that way tonight as the votes start getting counted. They closed.
And they thought, oh, yeah, you're the dude who killed all of our grandmothers.
Well, yeah,
on that. We'll give the socialists a try.
Yeah, they had a guy on earlier on one of the programs we both watch who lives in one of the popular areas from Mandami. He says, look, I don't have any issues with traditional establishment Republican or Democrats. But Cuomo just had way too much baggage for me to get behind him. And he was a Mandami voter. He was a guy about 28 or so. And,
it is interesting. And one of the things watching over the last couple of days is how many people are voting for Mandami and how many of people absolutely rejected socialism. So you're voting for, and I kept saying today, everybody's reading this in a different way. Everybody's thinking, oh, this is a referendum against Trump. It's not. It's a referendum against the Democrat Party as much as anything else.
Yeah.
You're old. You're out of touch. You know, I was joking around today. It's like, say you whippersnappers out there, you guys on the Tic Tac? Is that what you're on? The Tic Tac? You guys out there? I had Tic Tac. I mean, they are so out of touch with everybody. And Mandami comes along and dude looks smooth, right? I mean, even, you know, I mean, his politics, whatever. I mean, again, he's an Islamist, all the stuff I've heard. It's like, whatever. He's going to be the mayor. He's going to destroy. No, you're not. He's not going to destroy New York because there's too many corporatists and people inside of the council that won't allow him to do that. But what he did do was he went where the young was. All he did was he took the exact same thing, the playbook that Trump had, and he says, all right, you say it's immigrants' fault. I say it's billionaires' fault. You say it's Biden's fault. I say it's big corporations' fault. And he just changed the playbook enough, but the music kind of sounds similar. And he went with the word that matters the most, affordability. And let's be real. You're 34, you make $100,000 in New York City, and you're living with 9 roommates inside a 1-bedroom, no bath shanty.
Yeah. And yeah, the bathroom at the end of the hall. Absolutely. He's ouch. He's charismatic. I have to admit. I mean, he is engaging. I don't know if he's, you know, I don't know if I'd put him on the Bill Clinton level of engagement. It's probably a little bit of a different thing, but he is engaging. It was interesting. I saw a video of, I think it was a conservative videographer or something that was polling people or asking questions to people. They're coming out of the voting booths today doing, you know, polling stuff. And he asked this couple, they were probably, I want to say close, I would say between 60 and 70, very well dressed, you know, very well, you know, looked like they had done well in life and were very eager Mandami supporters. And their comment was they can't wait for him to get elected so they can go to those government supermarkets because potatoes cost them $5 a pound. I think that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, you don't really understand this. And I mean, I don't know how you've, you know, I'm assuming that you guys are doing well. You were dressed very nicely. I don't know how you've gotten there in New York City because you know what? The price of potatoes is not the largest problem. And you know what supermarkets make on a margin? They make like 2 to 3%.
Yeah, 2 to 3%.
They're not going to be dropping food prices 50% in the government-owned markets, let alone what this thing is going to cost to set up if he's allowed to do it. My guess is it's not going to happen.
When I saw a lot of people who are supporters of him, many of them said the same thing. It doesn't matter if he does any of these things. What matters is he's a new voice. Yeah. He's going to try something. He's talking to the people. So much, like I said, this is a referendum against the Democrat Party that outside of AOC, because, you know, people talk about the squad, but let's be real. AOC has elevated herself and separated herself, right? Yeah. She's become Beyonce, right? Or Diana Ross, and she has left the squad. They're still there. She doesn't dislike them, but they play no role in what she's doing anymore. She's out doing her solo thing, becoming the star that she is. And this is what they look like. Okay, is this what the future entails? Well, we'll find out. I mean, look, I pulled up all of the exit polls, 17,000 voters, Virginia, New York, New Jersey, California. Number one thing, economy, inflation, job slowing, cost of living, housing affordability. Guess who said immigration?
Probably nobody.
Virtually no one said immigration, and less than 0.25% said crime was top. I mean,
was climate change on that list anywhere?
No, climate change wasn't there either. I mean, anti-incumbent was also words being used, especially in places like California and Virginia. Angry, dissatisfied is something that, you know, people are pissed because the status quo. Trump offered people the alternative to the status quo, although he's been around for a long time now.
Yeah.
And Mandami is offering something that is not the likes of Chuck Schumer.
No, absolutely. Or again, directly Cuomo.
Yeah.
And it's like, you have to, you know, I don't know what the Democrats were thinking. Again, it's not my job to fix their poor execution of things, but I don't know what they were thinking about when they let Mandami get down the path this far that they could not put a candidate out there that, you know, convince AOC to run. I mean, it would have been it's a step up for her from
Yeah,
from,
but
from
she
being a
wants to be,
congressperson.
she's going to go and take freaking Chuck Schumer's.
But anybody but Mandami, and then Cuomo just ran because he lost, and it was clear that he wasn't going to win anyway. So that I didn't know they basically made their bed with this, and they've got to lay with him because this is the mess, or I don't know if it's a mess, but they created this because they didn't run a better candidate. I mean, that's what candidates count. And as a person, as a Republican living in California, I know that better than just about anybody.
Ask Georgia, right? Like ask Georgia.
Bingo,
Do you think
bingo,
your
bingo,
Senate
bingo.
candidate matter? I mean, you had Herschel Walker.
Yeah,
He
God bless him.
I was watching a movie and there was vampires and werewolves and they were fighting, and I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, and I mean,
running back
absolutely matter.
Just ripped physically, but not who was going to become a senator from Georgia.
That was absolutely.
But no, you're right. Absolutely, candidates. Exactly, same point. I chuckle when you talk about incumbent being a thing, considering what's going on in California, when this is all about retaining incumbency and basically cementing the Democrat future in California. Maybe this thing will backfire on them. I don't know at this point.
California, I think they would love to see fresh blood. What they don't want to see, though, is Texas get away with something.
Yeah, which has absolutely no bearing, though, on them. And Texas had to do it because the Justice Department, both under Biden and under Trump, told them that, hey, look, you guys may have some seats that don't fit with the Civil Rights Act and the Voting Rights Act. Yeah. So you guys need to redo it. Now, the answer for the Democrats is, well, they didn't have to redo it and they didn't have to, basically gerrymander it. It's like, okay, I can understand that answer. But what California does means absolutely nothing. It doesn't affect anything in Texas. All that means is they literally stole 5 votes in Texas and California stole 5 more back, and it basically washes it out. The problem is I don't think Texas is anywhere near as gerrymandered, even with the independent commission that we have in California, as California will be. We're talking about a state that generally breaks 60-40, and it's about the way Prop 50 will break tonight by the end, I'm going to suspect, give or take a point or two. It breaks 60-40. Trump won. Trump lost California in 24, 58-38 against Kamala. So if you break those down, and I know it's not proportional representation, but you expect to have something similar to that or close to that. Yeah. You're not going to be talking 90-10 in the new California. It was already 80-20. So it wasn't like there were Republicans were overachieving in congressional seats in California. And if you look at the state assembly and the state legislature, it's ridiculous. It is about 80-20 in both of those. I've always joked that there's 40 members of the California Senate, that the Republicans can have a caucus meeting in the back of a Denny's somewhere because there's only about 8 or 9 members.
Yeah, there's none left. I mean, look at Massachusetts. What did Trump get? 40% in Massachusetts and 0 statewide representation. 0.
I think New Jersey's pretty bad on that number too.
Yeah.
There's a couple of other states that are like that, where it's you've got over 30% and 40% in many of these states, and there's 0 congressional representatives that are Republican. So I don't want to hear about gerrymandering from the left. So, I mean, I want it to end. It's not good for anybody to be doing it. I'm not proud that, certainly not proud that California is doing it. I'm quite angry California is doing it. You have to look a little bit more into the Texas one, but the states that have gone out there, they're looking at it. I think South Carolina's been looking at it.
Indiana's going to do it. Missouri, like everybody's going to do one, right? Like anything to do one more than the other side of what are they doing? They're doing 3. We're going to do 4. They're doing 4. We're going to do 5.
Yeah. Everyone's got to one up everybody.
It's Price is Right. Like what did he say? He said 401, 402, Bob.
Yeah. But who's going to bid $1?
Yeah, it's like that's just it. Well, and they're just moving it up 1, and again, there's still they've got all of the stuff going on with the hearings as far as SCOTUS trying to figure out if this is how any of this is going to work. Is there going to need to be racial representation? Because let's be real, at this point, Trump would love it if he could go, all right, just go to Texas and find out if every single person can be their own district. How many of those would that give me? Would that give me a lot?
I don't think you understand how the Constitution works in that case. But
I don't think he does at times either. I always thought it was more of a suggestion.
Yeah.
Kind of like a menu, but I can pick a la carte.
Yes, like the congressman who, when they asked about the president giving pardons, was shocked to find out the president can give pardons. They asked him about should the Bitcoin or the Binance guy that got pardoned, should he been pardoned? He goes, I didn't know that the president could do that. It's like, okay.
Well, and Trump, like he's all, I don't know. Wait, what?
Well, then why did you pardon him?
Why did you pardon him then? Well, I mean, I've never heard of the guy. Really? So your kids have business with him and you've never heard of him? I don't know. So you just pardon a guy that you knew nothing about.
We're almost getting auto pen
You
territory
Ron
here.
Burgundy, if I put anything in front of you, you're going to sign it?
Wow, yes.
I mean, that does sound, that was not a good look.
No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. Absolutely.
You know, when you say, I don't know. I've never heard of him.
Yeah.
I'm
No,
like, okay.
absolutely not. It's definitely not a good, but you know, that's Trump, and it's still, you know, whatever it is, it's Trump being Trump. He works on a lot of different things. You know, he's Reagan-esque in the sense that he doesn't necessarily have his hands in everything down to the minute level. Because remember, he's not a politician. He's a guy that ran a construction company fairly well. If he stayed out of the casino business, it would have knocked off a few of his bankruptcies that he's had over the years.
That's okay, because he got into crypto.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's all different. That's a whole different gig coming up now, and certainly won't have to worry between that and his Truth Social stake. I don't think he's gonna have to worry about his retirement, nor probably about for the next maybe 12 generations of Trump going forward.
Any of them, we're gonna have to worry. So I'm looking here. Even if you took away Curtis Sliwa, even if you took away him, and you gave everything at this point,
where's he at about 8% right now?
He's at 7.9%, and Cuomo's at 41.6%, and Mandani's at 49.6%. So, and he needs to get over that 50, right? But it looks like he's going to have plenty of time to do that. Even if you did this at this moment in time, it's not enough to overtake Zoran, which a lot of, what was the thing that they were saying that you had, like Curtis came out and said, people were offering me $10 million to step away. I'm like, well, dude, you freaking should have done it. You have no chance of winning this thing.
Yeah.
Nobody's gonna vote for you because you wear a fucking beret. All right. You're not Emily in Paris or whatever that show was.
Yeah, no,
it was great when you were 17 and 20 and you run around and you're freaking fighting off the sharks and the jets because they were trying to steal people's purses and stuff. Right. And that was cool. But you're an adult now. Take your beret off.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, you're like a 65-year-old adult too, not just like this.
Do they still have the Guardians?
I think they still exist. I'm sure they probably still exist in some form in New York City. I haven't seen them since they really came up in the early 90s. I remember them being big, riding like LA subway or LA buses and New York subways and stuff like that. But it kind of faded. It's I mean, Clinton, for whatever you want to say about him, was a fairly decent on law and order. They knew that was a winning strategy.
Oh, he was hardcore.
He funded, I think they threw the 100,000 police officers out there in funding in one of the State of the Union. So, yeah, I mean, basically,
he searched the hell out of cops.
Yeah, and basically law and order, as long as it wasn't involving his perjury questions or not. So, or what the meaning of this is. But outside of that,
and when people came to him later on. Remember, because Biden wanted no part of the, all that stuff in the 90s with the, the guns were taking them off the street. These, all of this, they're animals. Remember that? All that shit he said?
Yeah.
Biden?
Yep. 1994, the, forget what it was not the Gun Control Act. Crime bill. Thank you. Yeah, the 94 crime bill, which is kind of what, if you've ever watched West Wing, they kind of run a couple of episodes in the first season where they kind of redo that whole thing. Playing that it's come up, like it timed out and they had to renew it or something, and they're doing a bunch of things on gun control that. But Biden really got lambasted for that when they started digging those things up. That's a problem when you've been in Washington for 50 years. You got a lot of history that can be dug up and campaigned against you with.
It's like jokes, man. You say something funny today, 5 years from now, your shit's in trouble, but it wasn't in trouble.
And nowadays, it is going to be there live in living color for all of eternity if you're going out there.
And even if it's not, we'll AI it up to make it feel
well, that's
that
a problem in and of itself, too. Oof, boy, the number of people that I'm seeing that fall for AI stuff on social media right now.
Well, Fox got totally destroyed by all those, the welfare queen EBT cards.
Well, the left bought into them too. We're saying, look, here's your mega T. They call them maggots. So M-A-G-A-T.
Oh God, yeah. I mean,
and they're saying, look, here's your mega person who votes for Trump, but now wants your EBT card.
Yeah, if you're not there, it didn't happen.
Yeah, no, it's a problem. Remember, you talked about this. I think you and I talked about this too about a month ago about misinformation being the number one problem with people that are on the internet, or saying about that being a problem, and it's going to be a problem for society going forward too. It's something that's got, and I don't know.
It's not a good.
No, and I don't know what simple answer. I mean, I I double and try to triple check, and I'm sure you do too, stuff when people send you stuff. And I go, wait a minute, if it doesn't pass the sniff, the smell test, I go,
Yeah.
okay, where'd you get this? And even a friend of mine who's brilliant has sent me stuff, and he's gotten caught up once or twice, but still, it's like, did you really check this out? And it's, he may have been sending me something from the golf course or something, but it was like, I got digging, I don't think this, oh, well, sorry about that. I go, yeah, I mean, no problem, but gotta be careful because I don't want to put it out there as looking like a clown. It's the worst thing. And it's funny because a lot of people too that do that, when you catch them, they're just like, there's no shame value either. There's no shame factor.
No.
Like, well,
no.
I'm pushing my agenda, so I don't really care if it's true or not.
It's funny. The guy so the EBT cards that, all these black women, we're going to storm it and we're going to take all this stuff. The guy that called everybody out on this, he said, look, because one of the ones, it would be hard to tell, man. One of the ones you could sit there and you're like, that one's hard to tell. A lot of the other ones were ridiculous. You got fooled on that, but it's one of those things where you sit there and you look at this, and even if people get caught, their whole thing is, well, it's confirmation bias, and this is what was going to happen anyway. So there's, like you said, there's no shame in that game, right? It's the confirmation bias of, I believe this was going to happen, so don't dare question me on this because I know this is going to be true, and it's true somewhere. Whether it's something that somebody said that was shitty about Donald Trump or the welfare queen thing, it's all confirmation bias if you get caught up in it and you just ignore it.
Yeah, absolutely. And then that's the thing they also talked about, that kind of ties us back to the election with the lack of being able to basically tie down Jay Jones, who's a Democrat AG nominee, with horrible texts that he sent. They were just utterly disgusting. And it looks like he's still going to win the race by a couple of points. And even Spartanburger, she wouldn't basically say, she wouldn't condemn him. And they could not tie her to it with any sort of impact that affected the race. And it's,
what? Donald Trump effect.
Yeah, exactly.
Prior to Donald Trump, that guy is out of the race and everybody condemns him.
Yeah. Hey, I thought Trump was done when he basically started talking about John McCain like the third day of his campaign. Well, I like my heroes that don't get capped. It's like, okay, well, nice knowing you, Donald. That didn't last very long. And it was like, well, no, that didn't seem to run. It was kind of
Donald. I think people forget McCain shine really came off when the whole Obamacare thing happened. And a lot of Republicans were like, we're done with you. And then he said a bunch of shit about Donald Trump prior to what happened, when Donald was running. And as he was running, McCain had said a lot of things. Plus, he was the one who gave the dossier. Let's not forget, there's all this stuff around McCain and all of this stuff. So even, Megan and several others, as shitty as Trump had said some stuff about, McCain, she recognized my dad gave as good as he got in this one, and at the same time, when you go and you look at somebody like Carrie Lake, when she ran, they were good friends. And then one day it was like, well, Donald doesn't like him. I'm running, so I shouldn't like him either. It's like, no, that's not the way that works. There was a argument and a fight between two men here. You used to be friends in the state that you're in with the most beloved politician arguably they've ever had, and you decide I'm going to crap all over him because Donald did it.
Yeah. And and Meghan McCain supports Trump. Whenever I've seen her on any of Mark Halperin shows, she's always there supporting Trump, and she and Tulsi Gabbard are best buddies. So they're not, she certainly is still on that train as far as supporting that, and she's always been kind of a somewhat wishy-washy Republican. I mean, she's like her dad as far as, no one was going to call John McCain a conservative. He was a Republican. No. He wasn't a conservative by any stretch of the imagination. So, I mean, I'm not saying that in a negative sense, just simply if you categorize him where he fit in the political spectrum on the Republican side, not a conservative, but nonetheless, a good man and certainly honorable, was honored to his country. So, we look at, I don't know what, Chad, where do the Republicans go from this? What do you take to the midterms now, thinking about, okay, do we need to change our strategy? Do we need to run better candidates? Which is the answer. That's always yes.
Always yes.
But is this something where, do you start worrying about putting Trump on the campaign trail for 2026 after time, or you just write this off as an off-year election, other than New York, marginally low turnout. These are tough elections because they're in off years that you're not going to get people out. Everybody knows you get more people out in presidential years and you get some more people out in congressional midterm years. So where are the Republicans going to be going from this tonight, you think?
If I'm the Republicans, the first thing I do is I look at the governor's races and I look at Mandami. And that is one you look at and you say, okay, there's something there that we need to pay attention to. He is landed on something. People are pissed and angry. And it's the same thing that Trump landed on, which is it's affordability. We're in the midst of a shutdown. Now you guys are playing politics at a time of the year where, first of all, you shouldn't be playing politics this way. You guys should get shit done. But secondly, you're playing politics as we head into the holidays where, everybody's like, well, people are worried about their food. Yeah, but businesses are also worried about their time of the year where they make hay. And you're looking at a position where Sean Duffy came out today, Secretary of Transportation, said, hey, man, if we're another 10 days out like this, I'm going to let everybody know it's going to be beyond ugly.
Oh, yeah, they're going to start. Yeah, they said they're going to start shutting down segments of the airspace.
Yeah,
so you put enough controllers. And somebody else, I don't know if it was Duffy or not, said also they had them talking about, well, this controller is working his fifth out of 6 weeks now without a paycheck. He's staying up nights worrying about his mortgage, how he's going to feed his kids. He's got a college payment coming due at the end of the year for his son's next semester at, whatever it is, UMass, pick a college. And he goes, is this the kind of guy you want sitting in front of an air traffic control terminal?
No.
You need to be 100% accurate?
No.
9999 is not good enough in your ATC. Yeah. It's 100% every stinking day, every hour, every second, every minute.
Yeah. And that's so true. So if I'm the Republicans, I'm thinking to myself, okay, if affordability is number one, are we going to get saddled with the rising cost of healthcare, even though ACA is not ours? We have a chance here for this. Are we going to get saddled with the blame if it goes up because we didn't do anything? And if we do win this, but we don't address the cost of healthcare and the rising cost of healthcare, that's going to be totally on us. So it's not a real win-win here.
No.
And I think the Republicans are going to have to step back and say, see, the problem for one of the big things, and I've been telling people this, okay, the ICE raids, nobody wants to see how the sausage is made. Okay. There's a lot of, and there's a lot of stuff that's very frustrating. I think for a lot of people out there, they're like, I thought you were going after the worst first. And I don't think the lady that sells me tamales down the street is the worst of the worst, but immigration and the border. Well, he's fixed that. People aren't worried about the border anymore. So when you fix a problem, you find out in politics, okay, we've moved on. So you can't campaign on that over and over again. And I think that's why tonight we were talking about how there's very little in the immigration side of stuff that people are talking about. It was affordability. That is it.
Yeah, I guess the one bright light you could say in that is that the ICE raids aren't a larger issue for people in general. They're a very specific group of vocal liberals that are speaking up about
in very specific places.
Yes.
Chicago, yeah. New York, Los Angeles.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And it's funny, again, that's another area where I see dozens and dozens of videos posted without context with a narrative making it sound like they're Gestapo agents. And then you see the community notes added is like, oh, well, what they didn't tell you was the person had tried to back over the police, the ICE agent, which is why he pulled his gun out and was threatening to shoot the lady in the minivan. Or by the way, she had with him, in addition to her 2 children in the van, her husband, who is a convicted, felon with a deportation order, who has also been arrested for spousal abuse and child trafficking. That part of it forgot to make it into the script.
Those things always forgot.
Those things are always forgotten, and that's part of the problem. The little lady is doing the tamale vending. Probably the situation of her son is a gangbanger and has got multiple arrests and deportation orders on him, possibly too. And she was there when he picked him up, and we just don't. They just don't say, "Oh, I'm not going to ask your immigration status. I'm only going to look for your sons." And
I think the thing is, I think the way it was pitched to America thought, okay, we're going to go after the Trenderawa. We're going to go after all of these guys. We're going to get them. And the lady, if we go in and we get 3 gangbangers out of a place, and there's a lady in there that sells the tamales, and she freaking watches the kids down the street, we're not after her. And it became quite apparent that no, they're going to grab as many as they possibly can because they're worried about numbers. Trump is talking numbers. And I think, again, we want everybody to leave, but it's like the sausage, right? Like the hot dog. I love, Hebrew National. I don't want to see how it's made. I don't want to see how my hamburger's made outside of it being cooked.
Yeah, what's the old adage? Two things you don't want the public to know how it's made: hot dogs and laws.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's where we are on that. And also, what the left also, that while they're complaining and protesting about it, two things they forget. One, we are in this situation because of Joseph Biden. He did not close the borders. And two, all of those cities you mentioned and others, they are all sanctuary cities who refuse to work with ICE, refuse to turn over people, even with lawful removal orders. They will ignore them and turn the people loose and send them out the back of the jails, so they will avoid ICE that are standing in front of the jails.
One of the things I have said for a long time, if I'm, Brandon Johnson's an idiot, so we'll just leave that out. But if I'm, okay, Pritzker, you're not an idiot. People don't have to like you, but you're not an idiot. You go and you say to Trump, all right, here's the deal. We'll work with you when it comes to the jails, catching the gang members. All we ask you to do is leave the raids of the Abuetas and the Diaz and all that stuff. Let's pull back on that and not have the entire place terrified, because you're hearing it from you're hearing from your lobbying groups too, Trump, because Trump he's hemmed and hawed about farm workers and factoring things. So, and so I'm surprised nobody's gone and said, yeah, we'll allow you into the jails to come get the guys that have ordered to be removed. We'll allow you to do all of these kind of things as long as you can comment. And I bet you Trump would be like, that's fine. I'm fine with that. Because he'll go out and go, they're working with us, and everybody be mad. But you're like, hey, look, this is where, do we lose it all or do we win some? And okay, in this one, we might lose some. Okay, but what are you losing? You're losing the bad guys, which, by the way, people that are here illegally and people that are here legally don't want the fucking bad guys here either.
No, because they're exploiting those communities that they live in. They're much more at risk, and they can't go to the police because they are illegal. Now, a lot of the police don't. Like LA, it doesn't matter. You can go to the police as an illegal if somebody's committed a crime against you, which it's good and bad. I mean, it has positives and negatives tied to it. But, in a lot of places, that's not the case, where they would arrest the person or basically send them to for deportation or for a hearing as far as immigration status. So yeah, basically we want and I definitely think that Trump would take that deal, because that would definitely be a win for him. Again, you could brag about it and say, look, I am getting the worst of the worst.
Even if Trump didn't get as many, the chance to make it a bigger deal is a win. Is a win. And for the Republicans, again, tonight was all about affordability. And, people could say, and you and I both know this, man, it doesn't matter who's in the White House. There's always going to be pushback, right? Yeah. Unless there's 0% unemployment, everybody's a billionaire. They're all living the best lives ever. It is always going to be a bit of a referendum on what's going on. And right now, I mean, Trump could spin it how he wants. Oh, prices are better than ever. Things are better. They're not. And the 7 out of 10 people in America, according to yet another poll, this one by Gallup, I think, or Ipso or, YouGov or whatever, all said the same thing. Things are more expensive. It's a little bit tougher. And it's funny. I was talking to somebody who in DC about this, who's in and around them. And I kept saying, dude, you guys are doing the same thing that Biden did, which is stop downplaying people's worries.
Yeah.
As if something's wrong with them. You guys are stupid. You just don't understand. No, they understand, because they go to their checkbook and they're like, fuck.
Yeah. It's the end of the month and I got $12 or something. Yeah. Of the month and I got $12 left. Yeah. Assuming I did my math right, or I might not have $12. Yeah. I may get $35.
Even worse, the first of the month came and you're 14 days away from your next paycheck. You just got paid and you have $32 and no gas in the car and nothing in the fridge.
Yeah. And 3 doctor's appointments you got to pay copays on for your kids.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
No, it is. There are, just like we talked about the ACA and the ACA does not have any easy answers. And again, I we've gone back and forth on text and I've talked about it before. I firmly believe that the Democrats built this thing knowing it was broken, and knowing that at some point they just kicked the can down the road, and knew that the Republicans would either have to cave on it or they could be able to blame them and basically, for at some point saying, look, the ACA subsidies have to stop. The first round was 2019. They went through there. Then it was 2022.
Yeah.
Those went through because it was during COVID. They threw it in the mess with the whole COVID bills. No one objected to spending money during COVID. And then now 2025 was the next time it came up. And now we've got a problem. And there's a great chart. I don't know if I sent it to you or not, where it shows the changes in the premiums over the time of the ACA. And 100% of the increases have been paid by government subsidies. So like if you're getting ACA, you paid $100 approximately in 2014, 13. You are now paying like $115, but your premium is really now $1,000 and $900 of it's being paid by the government. Whereas in 2013, it was $400 and $300 of that was being paid by the government. The government is eating 100% of it, and that's unsustainable because insurance companies know we can raise rates to infinity.
Well, yeah, it's no different than the colleges, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Wait, you're going to guarantee every loan? Fuck it.
Yeah.
We'll charge $800 gazillion for you to come here to Long Beach City College.
Yeah, and then what happens next year? Congress raises the maximum amount, the cap for student loans.
Yeah,
student tuition goes up next year. The following year, they raise the caps again. So,
again, this is now this battle here of the government shutdown is all about blame. It's politics, power, and blame. Who's going to get the blame? It's not about the people. It's not going to be about any of that other stuff because the people are already struggling, and it's not. And the beauty of our country is we'll rally around, we'll help out, we'll pick up some of the slack. It's not going to be perfect. It's going to be frustrating for some people, but that's the beauty of our country. The frustration level for me comes in, guys. I blame both of you because if you may be the one in power, well, you take the lead, you come in and you handle the shit. And you know what? I agree with Marjorie Taylor Greene, which is bizarre for me to say, but I've said this for a long time. Telling me that you've got the plan, and then when people ask you what the plan is, you're like, oh, it's super pretty sneaky. I'm not going to tell you what the plan is, but I'll just tell you it's as what was it, the old George W. It's strategery. It's very strategery. It's in the lockbox, and you're like, okay, what is it? Well, we're going to allow the free market to work. Okay, that's stupid. Okay, tell me something else. We're going to do the thing where did we say free market? Yeah, well, there's going to be we'll do other things too, like waste, fraud, and abuse. Okay, again, that's like 1%, even if it's 2%. Tell me what you have really planned.
Chad, it'd be a beautiful plan. It'd be the best plan that's ever been out there.
And it's going to be so. We have to keep it secret though, because
I'll win an award for it. It'll be great. America will love it.
Other nations will come and try to steal my plan.
All the Canadians will move to Washington State and northern parts of the country because they'll want American healthcare because it'll be so good.
Yeah.
So Justin Trudeau will even come back and beg me to let him have healthcare here because it'll be wonderful.
Yeah, but we can't do it.
Yeah.
So you've got, and it's like tonight, people go and vote for Mandami, but then they walk out. Do you believe in socialism? Nah, socialism is bullshit. I'm a capitalist. I believe in the free market the whole night. I mean, the free market's not free. I hope everyone understands that. But they want something different, and he's offering something different. A lot of it, again, is a referendum against the Democrats more than it is, referendum against Trump and them. But you can't tell everybody, oh, we've got a plan, believe us, and then allow it to go sideways and nothing happens. And then what happens? And this is why I keep telling the Republicans over and over again, guys, understand that if you win this the way that you think you're going to win it, and then you guys go out and you have no plan, and it gets to March and April and you haven't put anything out there that's really going to do anything, what you're going to find is you're going to take the full blame.
Yeah.
Rather than say, you know what, let's throw some money out there. We're going to cover it for the next year. And then we're going to come up with a comprehensive plan. And all the while, you control the narrative. The only reason we're having to do this is because we were promised the ACA was going to be great, and it was shit. So we have to fix it. But we can't allow people to drown in their brokenness and then expect everybody to come and vote for them.
Yeah, I agree that at this point that there is really no option for the Republicans other than just to suck it up and pass them, because if they don't, they're going to be villains and they'll get killed in the midterms. They have to do it. They need to basically then come up with a plan. The problem is as large of a mess as this is, I don't see anybody who's got the political wherewithal or the gumption to want to take this on because they know it is probably going to be a political career suicidal mission.
That's
because
why the only
it is going to be a ugly, brutal, expensive, and transformational process, and not necessarily in a good way for a lot of people. We've gone down this road so far. There are a few ways out, and none of them are good, and none of them are cheap, and that's the problem. And no one who wants to ever be reelected. I mean, what you need a list of Congress people that have either termed out or have determined to retire, to put them on a commission and let them sort it out, because they don't have anything to run for again in the Congress. Otherwise, I don't see it ever getting fixed. I've got a Bill of Rights that I've written for healthcare. And invoke a free market for a lot of it. And basically, you've talked about, because each state has its own insurance regulator, you have to go to a national model.
You're going to have to go to a national model, which is going to piss people off, but you have to if you're going to allow really, because what I think most healthy people want is the holy shit, look what happened to us. $50,000 deductible, but that's it. I'm capped out. And the chances of me ever having to use this are slim to none. It's almost like a term life insurance, right? Yeah. Between this and this, if something happens to you, your family will get this, but it's a small area. And then allow people to pay cash for certain things, because some of this, so today I was trying to find her here. This lady, she goes on and she goes, I want to know what your stories are when it comes to ACA. Tell us. And almost to a person, every person's all, I'm fucking rolling the dice. I'm doing it. I'm rolling the dice because I was paying $308. Now I got to pay $2,800. I ain't doing that. Yeah. Right. I mean, it's telling the kids, don't get hurt.
And I don't know if you remember far enough back. I mean, I remember and actually, no, you would have remembered this. My parents, and actually I did, the first insurance coverage I ever had when I got in the workplace out of college was in those days was considered a tradition. This is pre-HMO days or early HMO days, was a traditional insurance coverage of 80-20.
Yes.
They paid 80% of everything with a very small, if any, deductible. And then you paid 20% of everything else. Mm-hmm. And that's what my parents always had when I was a kid and I growing up. And it was funny because I remember the next cycle of benefits after I started working where I was, that went away. And there was now HMOs and PPOs and all that stuff. And I had to, try to figure all that stuff out. But it was like, I figure I go, you know what? That is probably been the last time in my life I'm ever going to see what I thought of as traditional health insurance, where it was just simply 80-20. And maybe something like that we got to start looking at again, where we go back to the problem is it has to be over a negotiated rate, because any sort of, and it's not just really catastrophic stuff, Chad. It is everyday stuff. You throw a kidney stone, you have to go to the ER. You're not going to walk out of that place without a $50,000 bill.
Well, I know.
I did it. I spent one night in ER for $48,000.
Did you get $48,000 worth of stuff?
I don't believe I did. No. In fact, I had to stay there only because the urologist on call wouldn't return the doctor call. The doctor called her because there was no urologist that's actually in the ER. They have one on staff. It was like 8:00 at night, and she wouldn't return their calls. So they had to keep me overnight because I can't. I was like, I don't know what to tell you. I want you to stay. You've got a problem, and that stone has to be removed because you can't urinate without it. I mean, you're gonna kill the kidney if you don't, or you're gonna die or something worse over a period of time. So stay. I want you to stay, and I only lived like a mile from there. Like eventually I stayed, and I got taken care of the next day. But that bill was like $48,000. The insurance company, when they billed it to the hospital, they billed to the hospital as $989, and I wound up paying like $236 or something.
But the whole thing is, okay, what happened to the $48,000 in between?
And if I didn't have insurance, was that what I was going to have to pay? If I walked in there with no insurance coverage, is that what I was going to pay? And we've got to sort these things out. And that's one of the things in the healthcare bill of rights that I've got is you have pricing for everything up front. Negotiated or not, you have pricing up front. Because I know that, like, I had a friend who was told his insurance company would only cover 2 ailments. He hurt his elbow, he'd hurt his knee, and he'd hurt his shoulder. They would only cover 2 of the 3. They wouldn't cover all 3, and they wouldn't give him an MRI for all 3. But he had the wherewithal to go out there and said, look, if I want to go down to my local imaging center and pay you cash for an MRI, what's it going to cost me? And basically there's a rate for the insurance company. There's a rate for if an indigenous person comes in without insurance and can't pay for it and winds up billing it back to the government. And then there's a price if you just don't have insurance and you want to pay cash for it. There's at least 3 different prices for a thing like this. And you know what? It doesn't cost them 3 different prices to run that MRI machine, regardless of who they're putting into it. The amount of coverage you have for insurance does not affect the cost of running an MRI machine.
You know, we were talking the other day. So we had concierge medicine with our doctor, Dr. Lambert, great guy. And we were talking about like, we pay his rates. So he's got, when it comes to like, he has an x-ray machine and all that kind of stuff, but when his other stuff, we would pay his rates. And we were talking, one of the guys who used to work with us here, he needed an MRI. His insurance company wasn't going to cover it. He says, well, I just can't do it. I don't have the money. He goes, what do you have? Because it was going to be like, $1,500 or $2,000, something ridiculous. Yeah. And then they goes, well, I only have $200. He goes, well, that's fine. Just bring that in. And you're like, okay, how do you get to that fucking thing? Like, are you just some dude who's like, okay, nobody's here at midnight, so anybody's got cash can come in and I'll just run the MRI machine? And I mean, it is, you'll hear stories is like, I got the bill, it was $187,000 and we negotiated down to 53 cents. And you're like, well, what? How'd you do that? I don't know. Yeah. And we just told them we weren't going to pay it. And they're like, all right, will you pay this? No. Will you pay this? No. Because it's, you break your arm and you go across the street and it's $2,700. You go across the street here, it's $485. What is the difference between those two?
Yeah, I'm sure they're not paying their doctors 1/4 what they're paying them or anything like that.
Yeah. Over here, it's just clowns. It's literally just, you go over, it's a bunch of guys dressed like clowns and they're trying to doctor you up and you're getting squirted in the face with the seltzer water. But over here, they're real adult. No, tell me what the difference is.
For that year, because I looked at the numbers. I had a major surgery, and then I had the kidney problem and a couple other kidney problems. The total billage for that year was $353,000. I maxed out at $4,000 out of pocket, and that was that's what I paid for that year. I don't know what happened to the other $349,000 of bills. I don't know how much. Again, I don't think the insurance company shelled out $349,000 to those various people.
Is they negotiate because they, and they negotiate it down
stuff like that.
And when they negotiate it down, then they take that and they say, well, we charged $353,000. We ended up paying $42,000, or realistically, they paid $3,300, whatever bullshit they came up with out of their own pocket. And we take a write-off of this, as the hospital does as well. And everybody gets reimbursed in some way, shape, or form through tax credits, subsidies. And, it is frustrating. And this is why I keep telling the Republicans this over and over again. You're in charge. Nobody wants to hear the fact that you decided to let these things expire and you have no plan for it. Because if you come out and you allow this to happen and you say, we won, this is great. And they say, this is all because of, illegal immigration. And I've never heard somebody go, what's the exact number? Because you told me $285 billion, $700 quadrillion. What's the real number? And you're like, it's probably closer to 1%. Oh, really? That's different. But if this all expires and then come March, April, they keep going, where's your plan? Where's your plan? Where's your plan? And you're like, we're putting it together. And nobody comes up with the plan, Jim. They're going to blame you because you did allow it to expire and you didn't come up with a plan. Like you said, it's suicide. You know what I would do if I'm Trump? Here's what we're going to do. You guys are picking 3 people. We're picking 3 people. We're going to get some other people that used to be in politics. We're putting them all in a fucking room, and they're going to go at it, and they're going to sort this thing out the best they possibly can. And the insurance companies, and I would tell them, here's the way this is going to work. You're going to work with everybody. You're going to be far more transparent than ever before. We're going to get rid of some of this tape, maybe have a national thing, really have focus here on. And if you don't, well, then maybe we will say, fuck it, and we'll just go all Medicare for all. How would you like those apples? And we'll ash you out. Trump would do something like that. Yeah. Just, fucking no, we better do something.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's the thing. And I've told people from, even before he's elected or just after he's elected that, look, Trump is not a Republican. He's not a Democrat. He's Trumpian. Okay. He takes stuff from either side. He's not tied to an ideology. He's not a politician. Okay. He's doing this because he wanted to do it. He doesn't do it because he needs a paycheck to get paid as a politician, like a lot of the people in Congress do. It's a job for them.
Yeah.
But as far as that is, that is certainly something we did. But the one part of that I will disagree with is there is no way that the Republicans can, whenever the shutdown is done, is walk away from funding the ACA copays or the ACA supplements. There's no way, because they will just get absolutely murdered in the press, and they'll get absolutely murdered by the left from day one.
Murdered by even their own constituents who say,
which is some of them are very much, on ACA. Now remember, this is not the majority of the nation. It is about 10%, 12%, maybe 15% of the country. The majority of the country gets their health care, as I do and you probably do, through your employer.
Dude, have you looked at your health care this year?
For
coming up?
Yeah. Actually, we did, because we're in that middle. California is right now. We're in the middle of that week. I have to choose mine by Friday.
Have you looked at the numbers?
Yeah, mine goes up. Mine goes up $10 a paycheck.
Dude, ours went up. Huge.
Oh, really? Oh, yikes.
Yeah. Well, like even Bell's like.
Well, I was concerned because we've been talking about this. Like everyone was, because they were scaring about the people with all the ACA numbers about what happens. And it's like, yeah, obviously, yes, mine is subsidized. It's not. I'm not going to claim it's the greatest. It's they pay some, but not other companies I work for pay more. But yeah, it goes up $10. I think it goes from like $175 a paycheck to $185. And I have the top tier because I'm close to that Medicare age, but not there yet. And I'm at an age that incurs a lot of medical treatment, or more so than when I was 24. So, and again, I had another hip replacement this year, and I'm only in for $3,000 for it, and for all the other ancillary things and the physical therapy and all that. So, yeah. So, and I like I said, I pay for the top tier. It's going to cost me $185 in California for it. Now, I don't have kids, I don't have a wife, and I'm dependent, and that certainly adds up.
How big's your company?
It's a multi-billion-dollar company with 20,000 employees or so nationwide.
That helps. It always helps.
Yeah, I'm sure it does. But we have we have employees in every state. So they've got to come up with plans for every state. There is a large chunk in California, but not half or anything. So yeah, no, I mean, it's a large company, which means they can probably throw a few more dollars. I mean, which means they can probably afford to throw a few more dollars at it than other companies can, as far as, subsidizing the bill. I think it comes out about 50% roughly. I don't remember exactly. I was able to find what they pay and what we pay, but I think it's about 50%. I think I pay about half the bill, and I think they pay about half the. But that still means that I'm on the hook for still roughly $4,000. And actually, the one thing that is changing is I believe the out-of-pocket limit is being bumped from $3,000 to $4,000 next year, which is odd, because like 3 years ago when I had the first surgery for the replacement, it was $4,000. And then this year it would turn out to be $3,000. So it's like, okay, great. And I think it's going back to $4,000 next year, and factor that into whatever you want. But again, knock on wood, unless something catastrophic happens, I don't plan to next year to be near that.
I think most people feel that way. Most people feel look, all of us just want the opportunity to have a protection, what if scenario, pay for our own stuff outside of that, and to not feel like we're one bad moment away from freaking bankruptcy.
No, absolutely not. And that by far is the leading cause of bankruptcy in America is medical debt.
Yeah.
Medical costs, medical bills, however you want to
we spend more money on healthcare than any other nation on the planet, and our numbers are not better outside of cancer. And by the way, cancer, only a few countries are. I mean, we're better than all the countries, but a lot of the other industrial nations who have, and it's social. It's funny when they talk about socialized medicine. Canada has it, yes. The Brits have it, yes. But like the Dutch, the Japanese, the Swiss, what they have is everybody's insured, but if you want better, you purchase that yourself. And it's kind of this hybrid model, which I think is something we should look at, which is, everybody from the moment you're born and you're registered, you've got that catastrophic government comes and takes over if you've got cancer, right? Yeah. But you break your arm or you need appendicitis, it's kind of going to be, you're kind of not so much on your own, but because we charge ridiculous amounts and stuff, but it is a hybrid model. And I think if I'm Trump, and this is the thing though, and where we have a much different thing compared to everybody else. You have to go, like you said, it's political suicide. That's why you almost have to put up 3 or 4 from each side and almost guarantee, guys, we will do everything in our power to make sure that you fight this battle and that we're going to protect your seats. So you don't have to worry about anybody lobbying against you. I mean, you have to do something like that.
Yeah, we'll let someone primary you.
We will let somebody primary you, and we're not even let somebody run against you. I mean, it's because how else are you going to shake it up? And I don't blame the insurance companies. Obamacare and everybody said, all right, you guys come on in and help dry this thing up, right? So they're just going to take advantage like the schools have forever and a day. Well, if you're going to allow me to charge you $500 million, I'm going to charge you $500 million.
Yeah. And that's, I mean, that is not going to end at any point because that's just a cash cow for them. I know that they weren't thrilled with the ACI, I believe, at the start, and now they're beginning to come around on it because it is a way that they can generate a lot of revenue, especially because generally, go ahead.
Nobody was thrilled by it, but then they realized, oh my God, we've got guaranteed income.
Yeah,
and they can't go anywhere.
Yeah, and if we raise rates, they aren't going to walk away because the government will pick up the tab for the difference as we raise rates and raise rates. And raise rates. And the thing that, the big designation that I make is that Obamacare is not health care. It's health insurance. Because that's all it gets you. Because what you were leaving people with, even under the subsidized plans, is, okay, you pay $150 a month, but you now have an $11,000 deductible. And if you're on that coverage and you're paying $150 a month with maybe $450 in government subsidies or $500, you probably don't have $11,000 sitting around in your checking account for when you really have a medical problem to try to, to basically pay up before you can go ahead and get your tonsillitis, your tonsil surgery for your kid. Or the kid broke his arm and it was a compound fracture and they need surgery to basically set the arm. It's not just a cast. It's a medical procedure to do that or something like that. Or the kid breaks his leg skateboarding or something in a compound fracture. So that's a problem for a lot of people because these poor people, these lower income people, what happens when that $11,000 bill shows? And a lot of the hospitals I know in the early days, and I don't know if they changed the law on this, was they basically was cash up front. Okay, I know you've got $11,000 deductible. I want that $11,000 before I'll even treat you, which may or may not be legal. And
they came up with 86. There's a law essentially. The Emergency Medical Act. So if they can't, if you have an emergency, your appendix blew up, they're not asking you what your documentations are. They're not asking if you can pay it. They're by rights. The law is they have to save you and do everything they can to save you. And then this is where rural hospitals like Yuma, the hospital, Mayor Doug Nichols out there tell us, look, they owe us $35 million from people coming across the border, having babies, people that were shot, people that were almost dead, and we took care of them. And of course, the government, it's weird because they want to slow pay and they want great rates when it comes to, we're going to negotiate this different than the insurance company or HMO is going to do it. Yeah. And so, these places are waiting around for their money and they're going bankrupt.
Well, a lot of doctors won't take those patients either. Yeah, you can't walk in anywhere. Even with Medicare, you can't walk in anywhere. You got to find a doctor that'll cover it, and then maybe you need like a Plan B or whatever I think it is for a Plan A for that additional coverage to basically get into some of the doctors you may have had before you got onto Medicare. In California, I've seen stats that it's something like I want to say between 60 and 70% of all births are filed with Medi-Cal. They're Medi-Cal paid. Yeah. Because it's basically a lot of it is illegal aliens and indigenous or poor people, low income people that are they're showing up that need that are giving birth, and that's where a majority of the bills go to. So, but I don't know, does that law cover? I've got $11,000 deductible problem, or is that just a coverage?
No, it's just emergency. I mean, it's so. You can't go to and see what happens is people wonder why the places like when you go to the emergency room, there's 500 people in there and everybody here's got the sniffles. Well, the reason is they don't have health care.
Yes.
And so they use the emergency room as their health care, and they can't turn them away because there's a law. It was meant to be your arm snapped. You got hit by a bus. You got shot. You have a baby coming out of you right now. We can't leave you lying there. We bring you in. We fix you up. But once you're on your way, this is not for you to get the flu shot.
Yeah. And by the way, that reminds me, wasn't that one of the big pitches of Obamacare? Was that if you get all these people insurance that are using ERs as primary care doctors, the rates will go down because you won't be filling up these ERs with emergent care that costs much more than scheduled care. And that certainly has not happened, has it?
No, it hasn't happened.
That was a fib or a lie, depending on how you want to look at it.
So I don't know, man. It's going to be interesting. I think tomorrow's takeaway is the Republicans are going to have to go, okay, how much longer does this go on? When do we step up and say, we've got to handle this? Or are they going to try to ride this out for as long as possible? I have a feeling, I think a lot was going to come tonight. I think if the Democrats would have lost a few of these, now they were never going to lose all of them. Like they were never going to beat Mandami. But if they would have lost a few of these, there would have been a surprise in New Jersey and a few other places, it was much closer because these results are not close. I mean, I'm looking at it. Mandami won. He got over. So Spamberger won by 14 points.
That's way outside the margin.
Yeah. Jay Jones won by looks closing in on 6 points. You've got the lieutenant governor, Hassami there won by 10 points. So you've got Mikey Sherrill beating, what's the name? Clattarelli or whatever.
Yeah.
By 13 points. That was supposed to be close. Mandani is going to win by 10. Cuomo got a lot more than I thought he was going to get. And then you got the Supreme Court.
Of the turnout.
Yeah, the Supreme Court in Pennsylvania, right? Like, so you had the 3 Democrats. All of them swept easily into their positions. California, we know where that's going to go. So you look out there tonight, I would say you think, okay, take it for what you want. It feels like a bit of a referendum. We should get ahead of this because it's the smart thing to do.
Real quick, did you think either side moves forward with opening the government back up after looking at the results tonight? Do you think the Republicans see that they're weak and need to, or the Democrats?
I think tomorrow's going to be interesting. I think if the Democrats would have lost some of these things tonight, I think they would have been much eager. But I think this gives them a renewed sense to dig in harder and to not allow this to go. And I think now it's really on to Mike Johnson. And I don't know if Mike is again, it's hard to tell with him. I don't know if he's going to or not. And I think a lot else has to do with Trump. And this whole thing too of let's just, you know what? We've got all the power. We've got all the strength. Screw it. Do the nuclear option is ridiculous.
Yeah, no, the whole thing with the filibuster is just ridiculous. It's not something that's happening. You don't change it for this. It's both sides are always like this, but they never realize, wait a minute, we may be on the other side of this come 5 years, 10 years from now, and we may really, really regret doing this because there's something that we want to stop or we want to basically want more discussion on, and they never seem to remember that part.
No. And well, you know what? And this is the thing. Trump looks at it like, and he said, I'm in power now. This is what I want. Let's go and get this done because, and you're like, yeah, but you're not going to be in power. You're not going to be here forever. And then everybody else is going to have to live with this decision, and you'll have done your thing and maybe celebrate it and it worked out well for you, but leaving in your wake could be a nightmare for the Republicans to come. Although, there's a thought that, I was listening to, Chris Hand, my buddy who's on before me today, said, screw it. Let's do it now. And let's make it so it's virtually impossible for the Democrats to ever even hold an office again. And I'm like, well, that seems a little weird.
That's called California in reverse.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm like, he goes, we'll put it, and I'm like, no, I mean, and remember, everybody thinks that that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
That it'll never, and we'll only do it once. Right. Like, everybody's you can do as many times as you can. And that's why you guys don't have the Supreme Court the way you want it, because you decided to go nuclear one time and it came back now and it kicked you in the nuts.
and you didn't tell Ruth Bader Ginsburg to step down when you still had the presidency and the ability to control the Senate and to get your person through there because you either wanted to be a nice person or didn't really think that far ahead. Yeah, basically, you talk about one time, you mean like it's temporary in California for the Citizens Redistricting Committee to be shut down until 2031? Oh, yeah, I'm sure that's going to be temporary.
Everything's temporary until it's not.
Yeah. What government program has ever been temporary, Chad?
That's the problem right there. None of them have ever been temporary.
Yeah, absolutely not. So yeah, it'll be interesting. The one thing, that I think you brought it up, and I don't know if we were, exactly how serious we were talking about it, but I think that comment that Duffy made, that is something that they might really want to start thinking about, because if you imagine if you screw up 7 or 8 million people as they try to get home for Thanksgiving, you are not going to recover from that. No. You are going to go down in literal flames for that. So you'd better really have something sorted out by then, because that isn't, it's bad enough that, that the people may not be able to buy Christmas presents because government workers, because they haven't been funded if it gets drawn out that long. But you got millions and millions of people sitting in airports because parts of the air traffic control system have been shut down for lack of controllers and the ability to manage the airspace. That is something that does not get forgotten. And you will pay for that in multiple elections, because that is the kind of thing that will make people forever vote for somebody else.
Absolutely, 100%. And the Republicans have a decision, and they could say, well, it's not us, it's the Democrats. People care who's at the wheel at this moment in time.
Yeah.
And you had the opportunity to come back and to bring them in, and to do that and not do that because you're trying to hold steady on something that is going to cost you, because we know this in our country. At that point in time, we're looking for somebody to blame, and you're the one that has all the power. You've got the presidency. Yeah, you might need 60 to do this or that, but you had the power. You could have come back. You could have, but you're not going to do it. And because you're not going to do it, this is what you're going to get. And you, like you said, this will cost you for a few cycles.
Yeah, we are 21 days away from what is usually considered to be the busiest travel day of the year. Yeah. So you get the clock's ticking. You got 21 days to sort it out, guys, because you don't want to get there, and you don't want that to happen, because it is not good. You are not going to like it. It will not end well for you.
It won't. And the other thing is, one of the things is not being talked about. Take away the travel. Yes, a lot of our stuff gets shipped here on when it comes to boats. A lot of our stuff flies here and flies from point A to point B, from point B to point C, to point, and it's going to be insane. It's going to be insane. And you're going to find out if the beginning of the year, we're in a situation where we're near a recession or in a recession, and we've had a horrible Christmas time, and the travel's been awful, and it's been snarly, and people are missing things. Nobody's going to care who started it 3 months ago. They're just going to look and go, well, you're the one in charge, so I got to blame you.
Yeah, they want change, and they don't care who it is. It's just not you. Yeah, if you have 150,000 people who get to eat Christmas turkey in O'Hare Airport, not going to end well for you at all.
No, indeed. All right, my man. Good talking to you as always.
Yeah, hey, one thing, look for tomorrow. I believe tomorrow is the Supreme Court tariffs hearing.
That is arguably the biggest hearing that we've had in years, even bigger in some cases than the Roe v. Wade, the Dobbs report. Yeah, because this will two things. It's going to signal. This will tell everybody Trump has essentially unlimited power at this point in time, or that they've clawed it back and he doesn't have unlimited power, and Congress is still part of the co-equal branches, and that they need to make decisions as well.
And then also this has trillions of dollars of effect on the economy.
Which is, he's already trying to figure out how he doesn't have to pay people back. Have you seen that? He's like, do we have to pay him?
We have to pay them.
We do? Are you sure? Can we just give him, would they like some Trump coins?
Trump crypto, exactly. Just pay him in Trump crypto.
Oh,
absolutely, Trump, or absolutely, Chad.
Oh my God, that would be so funny. Yeah. You guys have a good night, Jim. As always, appreciate you, brother, and we'll do it. Thanks, and we'll talk to you later on this week.
Yep, have a good one. Thanks, Chad.
Brother. Bye.